Hey, what up, guys? What up? Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Mamadou Diallo. If we never met before, guys, I am a full-time real estate investor. And so far, I've done dozens and dozens of real estate transactions, all the way from fix and flips, buy and holds, to all type of strategies, all the way from traditional wholesaling to creative finance, wholesaling and holding property. So today's topic, though, is about how do we stop an auction. I get this question all the time from my Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, whatever. People always reach out, hey, what is the simple steps to stop an auction when it comes to pre-foreclosures? Pre-foreclosures happen to be one of my favorite list to go after when it comes to this real estate investing journey. That's what I started with. I still love them. I still think the best way for you to get your first deal the fastest way possible is to go after pre-foreclosures. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to be easy just because those people are behind on their payments. They're not going to hand you over their property. Again, guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're a new one to this channel, my name is Mamadou Diallo, if we never met before. And I've been in real estate now for over 2 years, going 3 years, and have done dozens and dozens of transactions all over the country, from cash deals, creative finance, fix and flips, buy and holds, Airbnbs, you name it, raise a lot of private capital, right? So let me, guys, I'm going live on Facebook. Give me one sec. For some reason, Facebook, every time I go live, they put my live to private, so I always have to put it public. Sorry, guys, I want to make sure other people get the value as well. So, guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Okay, so the boom right here, guys, you need these 4 components to be able to be successful. This boom doesn't stand for a gimmick of an explosion. What it stands for is you have to be bold, guys. In life, you got to be bold. You got to have confidence. Even if you don't know what you're talking about, you need to sound like you know what you're talking about, because you have the network where you can go and draw the information from. Okay, so you have to be bold in life. And then the second O is for obsessed. You got to be obsessed with this thing. If you really want to get your first deal, second deal, third deal, you have to be obsessed by now. If you truly want to get into real estate, and your surrounding, your family, friends, and whatever, like, they're not sick and tired of you talking about real estate all the time, you're not obsessed enough. Okay, the ongoing is you never stop learning. You're always looking for more information. Now, today, most people don't have information problem. They have overload of information problem. There's too many information out there. You're following too many people. You're listening to too many people. And guess what? Because you're listening to so many, you have so many gurus you listen to, you don't know what action steps to take. And so you froze and don't take action at all because you're lost, right? You listen to Brand Daniels, he give you different advice. Pace give you different advice. Grant Cardone give you different advice. Max Maxwell give you different advice. And so you're like, oh my gosh, what do I do? And you completely don't do nothing. Okay, guys? And the other O, guys, is for ongoing. And the M is for mindset. Jasper, Jasper here, guys. Is one of the guys that actually I think yesterday he was hitting me up about an auction he's looking to stop. So today's topic, guys, is about how do you stop an auction. I remember first when I started in pre-foreclosures, the first time that I actually called the lender, I made multiple mistakes that I'm going to go over here on this video, and I am going to keep this one short, guys. I'm not going to talk about the things you can do, meaning the tools. Are you filing bankruptcy? Are you doing a loan modification? That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about the step to take, right? When a seller reach out to you and an auction is right around the corner. Just so you guys know, if you go after pre-foreclosures, oftentimes 99.99% of the time, the sellers will reach out to you at the last minute, either the same day, meaning like 5 minutes before the auction, or they will reach out to you like 1 minute before the auction or the day before, right? Is usually the time crunch is super crazy. Why? Because the first time you call them, they act like they have it all in control, right? Hey, I got it handled. I don't need your help. They shut the door. And so if you're obsessed, guess what? You never stop following up with these people. Because why? Because they're actually just making up stuff. They think the problem is going to go away by itself, so they don't do nothing about it. And the last minute, whoever follow up the most is that person that they're going to reach out to the same exact day. Guys, right before I jump into this live, I have a pre-foreclosure seller that was ghosting me, that literally texted me right before I hit the live button. literally texted me out of the blue. Why? Because we kept persisting and following up even when she was not responding. We send in text messages, we're not getting any responses, but I know she's seeing it. This is in Texas, and I know she's seeing it, so we don't stop following up, guys. So the first thing first, I want you to know, every single time you run into a seller that is in pre-foreclosure, and there is and they reach out to you and there is an auction date, I promise you, is either the same day, right? Is either the same day, or like very, very last minute, right? So you don't have a lot of time. So what is the first step? Let's say a seller call you right now and they go, hey, remember you called me 10 days ago, I didn't want to talk to you. Well, today I want to talk to you because the bank is about to kick me out. I'm about to find myself with my family out on the street. Please help me. So what is the first step? The first step, guys, is you need, okay, you want to avoid this mistake. The first tip is you need to have the seller give you either a third party written authorization. So they have to get, there is a form called third party authorization. They have to fill it out with their first name, last name, social security, and all that fun stuff, and give you authorization to allow you to talk to the bank, or they give you a verbal authorization. The way they give you a verbal authorization is they have to jump on the three-way with you on the phone, and you guys call the lender, okay? And then they will give the whoever is on the other line of the phone, the seller have to give them authorization to talk to you basically verbally on the phone. Here's the challenge with the first option. The first option being a written third-party authorization, which is a form that you can, send to the loss mitigation office. And if you send them that form, it takes them about 24 to 48 hours to process it. The problem with that is when you're dealing with stopping an auction, you don't have 48 hours. You only have usually 1 hour or 5 minutes or 20 minutes, right? So obviously, if an auction is on the line, meaning the property is about to go and get sold on a foreclosure auction, you don't have the time to have a written authorization from the seller and then send it to the lender and then wait for the lender to process it. So the first thing you need to do is tell the seller, hey, I'm going to need you on the phone. If you have a 9 to 5, I need you to go. Guys, we've done this like hundreds of times. We have the seller go to the toilet, literally go to the restroom, call me from the restroom. I just need you to give verbal authorization on the phone and you can drop off and go back to work. After you give the third party authorization, the verbal third party authorization, I don't need you to stay on the phone. You can literally drop off and go keep working. Okay. The person will talk to me. Now, depending on the lender that you're dealing with at that point, guys, some of them, if a seller jump on the phone with you and give a verbal authorization, is valid for 24 hours. So meaning they will talk to you for 24 hours without the seller having to come back on the phone with you. Some banks is literally 3 days, right? But most banks is right there, one call. So that means every single time you call the bank back, right, you have to have the seller on the other line, or you have to send that written authorization form. And if they process it, then you no longer need the seller. But that takes time, okay? So the first thing is you need the authorization from the seller. Okay, and that authorization, if an auction is involved, is better to get the verbal authorization because it's way faster, okay? The number two, do not make this mistake. So oftentimes what happens is you call the lender, and when you call the lender, the operator, whoever, like the bank worker that picks up the phone, that's usually what they do is, and on my first pre-foreclosure, guys, I made this mistake. The lady that I got on the phone was like, hey, call the trustee. If you guys don't know what a trustee is, the trustee is the actual private attorney that the bank hire to foreclose on the person, right? To go after you, foreclose the property, take it to auction, handle all the like paperwork, legal paperwork, and all that fun stuff. And so what happens is you call the bank, the first person that picks up, right? They send you, they say, hey, go call the trustee. Guys, second tip, do not call the trustee. The trustee have no authority whatsoever to postpone an auction or stop an auction. They cannot help you. Only the lender have that authority. But what's happening is when you call the lender, the person that on the other line that you're actually speaking with, the reality is they may not know that. Remember, the bank, every single bank that we've dealt with so far, Mr. Cooper, Wells Fargo, like all these banks, they have multiple departments. And so that first department you're talking to have no idea what you're talking about oftentimes. It's the same way, guys. Just think about when you walk into Walmart or whatever, you go to a store and you try to buy something, and then you cannot find it on the shelves, and you go to an employee, right? And you go, hey, do you guys have this in stocks? It depends, right? So if you get an employee that is self-motivated and don't mind like going and on the computer or whatever machine do they have to look it up, they will do it for you before they say no. The only thing, if you don't find it on the shelves, then we don't have it, right? It's the same thing with the banks, guys. You can lend on lazy people that they don't know what's going on, and instead of asking, they just say, hey, go call the trustee. And that happened to me the first time that I called the lender myself. And I called the trustee, and the trustee is like, no, we cannot really talk to you about this file. You need to call the lender. I'm like, well, the lender just told me to call you guys. They're like, well, there's nothing we can do. Like, we cannot talk to you. We cannot postpone that. Only the lender can make that decision. But what I learned is, and this is the third step, guys. So when you call the lender, doesn't matter what the lender is. When you first call the lender with the seller and you get that verbal authorization, you need to ask for the loss mitigation department. The loss mitigation department is who makes that decision, is who is handling that file, is who knows what's going on with the file, when is the auction date, what options does the seller have to get out of foreclosure or postpone it, and all that fun stuff. So they'll be able to answer most of your questions. Okay. So when you call, and that first employee, that first usually is a receptionist, right? I don't know, whoever picks up the phone first, you tell them, no, I want to talk to the loss mitigation. I don't need to call the trustee. I want to talk to the loss mitigation. And you talk to the loss mitigation, have the seller give the verbal authorization to the loss mitigation. Then you ask them, hey, what options do we have on the table to postpone this auction? As far as the options is concerned, guys, I'm going to do a different video for that. There is multiple ways to stop, postpone an auction. That will all depend on the individual seller you're dealing with. What have they tried before? What options do they still have left on the table? How many years haven't they paid their mortgage? What bank you're dealing with? There's so many layers involved into it, right? That a trustee, Mark, that tells me you just literally just hopped on. A trustee, Mark, is the private attorney that basically the bank hired to go after a seller that is behind on their payment. So the bank hired a private attorney. That attorney is usually called a trustee, and that's the trustee that forecloses on you, that go after you and then take the property to foreclosure. But they have no authority whatsoever to talk to you. Okay. So guys, first, if you have an auction, first remember, every single time a seller calls you about an auction is last minute. Every single time we have to stop an auction. We're doing 2 short sales right now in Florida, guys, and all of them, the seller reached out literally 5 minutes before the auction. Literally. The text, hey, I'm ready to talk. When I get that text from a pre-foreclosure seller, I know there is an auction right on the call, because they're usually in denial until the auction is real. That's why when you go in after pre-foreclosures, you actually don't want to waste a lot of time with people that don't really have an auction date coming up, because they procrastinate so much. So if you don't have a lot of budget and you don't have, a lot of resources when you're first starting out, you should focus on sellers that have an auction date coming up maybe within 3 weeks or a month, because those sellers will be most likely way more motivated to talk to you, right? Because it's getting real. The bank is coming after them, right? So guys, it's always last minute. So the first thing is, soon as they text you, you need to make sure that the seller is okay jumping on the phone with you and talking to the lender. When you talk to the lender, do not let the lender, number 2, do not let the lender tell you to go and talk to the trustee. The trustee cannot help you. You talk to you ask them, hey, I want to talk to the loss mitigation department. Guys, one tip for you when you're talking to the loss mitigation department, and I've done this with Wells Fargo and Mr. Cooper, here's what I do. If I'm talking to somebody, so obviously when you talk to the loss mitigation department, also you're talking to employees, you're talking to human beings. Some of them care, some of them don't. Like, some of them literally care about what your seller is going through. They want to help, so they'll give you the options. Some of them absolutely do not care. You have to literally pull teeth and ask them a bunch of questions and insist for them to even respond to your questions. But if you find one that cares and know what they're doing, always make it a point to get their first and last name and get their extension number, so that the next time you run into a foreclosure situation, where it's the same bank, let's say it's Wells Fargo, when you call back, you try to make sure you talk to that same person that helped you last time, right? You want to keep that, remember guys, everything when it comes to this investing stuff, everything is all about relationships. Okay, it's all about relationships. So make sure you create relationships even when you call these banks to stop an auction, because the next time that you run into that scenario, you can just call Wells Fargo and talk to that same person that helped you. Okay, guys. So first step, you need a verbal or a letter third-party authorization to talk to the bank if you want to postpone an auction. The second thing is, do not talk to the trustee. You talk to the loss mitigation office, and they'll give you the options that you have in order to postpone it. Okay, guys. And how do you call it? So, in terms of what options you have, like, do you have to do a loan modification? Do you have to do a bankruptcy? Do you have to do that? Will depend with the seller you're dealing with, to be honest with you. Where can we find those foreclosures, bro? There's so many resources. We personally, we rather get it from the county because the county will always have the best data, but you can use Privy. I know Batch and PropStream have complete trash foreclosure data, so do not get it from Batch or PropStream. I don't care what nobody tells you, it's completely trash. Privy, I've never tried it, so I cannot speak of it. So guys, today's video is really short one. I wanted to keep it short, nothing complicated. I just want to talk about how do you stop an auction, because there's a lot of people out here, guys. One expectation, expect to be on the phone for hours. This is why I personally, when I used to be a solopreneur, I used to do this myself. So I would call the lender myself and talk to them. Guys, you spend hours and hours and hours on the phone. So now this is why we have an in-house bank negotiator that's all they do, right? They specialize in negotiating short sales, going in, like, they fully understand this because they actually used to work for the bank. They used to work for the bank, and they used to work on the at the loss mitigation office, so they completely understand this. But when you first start, you maybe don't have the resources, or you cannot pay and outsource this, right? You cannot go and pay somebody to call the lender for you, because it can cost you from $2,500 to $5,000 to have somebody help you stop an auction, guys, just so you know. Unless you JV in with somebody that, obviously have those resources. But you need to expect to be on the phone for multiple hours to stop an auction. Okay, like, people will, and then also you have to be persistent. Do not take no for an answer. Do not take no for an answer. So when you call the first person, they say, no, I cannot help you. Hey, let me talk to a manager. Let me talk to somebody else that can help me then. But, like, there's always an option to stop and postpone an auction. As far as the steps, the different things you can do, I'm going to do a complete separate video and talk about it. There's so many different things you can do in order to meaning so many things you can send to the lender, or you can, the seller can apply for in order to actually postpone it. But the first step is always calling the lender, not the trustee, talking to the loss mitigation department, and then seeing what options are on the table. And based on the individual needs and situation you're dealing with your seller, then you go with the option that fits best that scenario. I hope that makes sense, guys, and I hope this video was helpful to you. Yes, Shub, he did. But I'm not sure. I haven't tried the data, so I can't really testify if it's a good data or not. But why not? Listen, let me know. Try pre-foreclosures on Previa. Let me know if they're good. I'm curious. But I know for sure Batch and PropStream, I've tried it personally. Complete trash. Do not use it. When it comes to pre-foreclosures, I'm talking about specifically. But guys, was this helpful? Please, if so, leave a comment below. Let me know which state you work in pre-foreclosures in. What are you struggling with pre-foreclosures? We're actually building a whole series all about pre-foreclosures, showing you exactly how we negotiate them, how we talk to the sellers, how we stop the auctions, the paperwork that we use, all that fun stuff. Different type of lenders, how to deal with them, like crazy stuff. You're not even ready for it. But in the meantime, I hope this was helpful. Leave a comment if it was. Let me know what you want to hear next. Guys, here, this video today was to answer a question from people that reached out. So if you leave a comment in my YouTube channel and you let me know what you want to hear about, specifically in pre-foreclosures, or what you're struggling with, I will actually make a video and answer your question. Okay, guys. Again, my name is Mamadou Diallo. If we never met before, guys, and I've done dozens and dozens of real estate transactions, all the way from fix and flips, rentals, Airbnbs, raising private capital, pre-foreclosures is one of my favorite lists to go after. Why? Because it's a high pinpoint seller. And so, guys, if you love helping pre-foreclosures and you're looking to squat up, please let me know which market you're in. If you're in the Texas market, make sure you let me know. We're in that market, and I love the Texas market. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you guys on YouTube. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Let me answer a few questions here. Go, sir. Let's go, Mr. Shub. Guys, if you need virtual assistants, so Shub here is saying he had a call with CallStar. They're super great, have highly trained virtual assistants. So if you need, I have the link in the description below. If you need virtual assistant services, make sure you call CallStar. Is there a master class I can follow that you teach? Triple, I don't know what your name is, triple, whatever. So that's what I'm saying. We're literally creating it right now, bro. We're creating a master class on pre-foreclosure. So look out for that. I'll be dropping the link soon. All right, guys. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you get a benefit out of this. And if you haven't gotten your first deal yet, you shouldn't be taking off today. Okay, guys, do not take off if you haven't deserved it. All right, guys, stay bold, be bold. Talk to you all later. Peace.